Hello everybody, welcome to the Holochain. We have Dr. Adam Bumpus with us this evening from RedGrid and IOEN. I'd like to say hello.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Lovely to see you, Johnny.
Great to see you, and just to start with, thank you so much for joining us on the Holochain. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here. I am so excited, you cannot believe. I honestly don't care that it's midnight in the UK. And seriously, it is just great to have you here and find out about the projects on the Holochain platform and what you have to offer with, of course, RedGrid and also IOEN. I think we should just start by getting straight into it. Let's not hang about with this, because there's probably going to be a million questions at the end that people want to ask you. But I thought about how I was going to explain this to you, and the best way for me to do it is just imagine that I know nothing about RedGrid or IOEN, because there's some people that do know nothing about your projects, and then there's other people that are obsessed as well. So I guess we should just start from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Johnny. And hey, thanks very much for staying up late. I know it's late in the UK, so I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's awesome to be here and to talk through it with you. So yeah, look, let's take it from the very beginning then about what we're doing at RedGrid and why we're doing it. And so just to place the context, so for me, I've been working on climate change and clean energy solutions for climate change for about the last 20 years or so, just under. And the key thing for me was always about how do we create new financial mechanisms that can include people, provide more clean energy, and enable people to make this transition as easy as possible. And that's what really brought me to RedGrid through a number of years working in different things. And so what I mean by that is that I spent a lot of time working with big institutions, big universities, the World Bank, the UN, all those kind of organizations doing great work. But the thing that needs to happen is scalability through technology, and that technology that actually is relevant for people, for everybody, not just something that's really kind of very complex and over there and someone else is going to solve it. This needs to be a thing that everyone can be a part of. And so when I met Simon and Alex and Dylan, my co-founders at RedGrid, we kind of understood where we needed to take this as a way of creating a technology that would be reworking the way that we can interact with energy and electricity and help people to really sort of be part of this transition. No matter if you own solar or you don't own solar, or you've got a Tesla or you don't have a Tesla, it doesn't matter. It's about everybody being part of something. And that's why we formed it. And so it fit really well for us on Holochain. So I'll take you, so the story of why RedGrid exists is that we've got, we use this analogy sometimes. If you take Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who invented the telephone, and if you took him from the early 1880s when he invented the telephone, and then put him into 2021 and he's got one of these in his hands, he would have no idea what on earth it is. He'd have zero understanding of what this thing is. It's from Star Trek, right? It makes no sense. But if you took Thomas Edison, who created the electricity utility, took him from 1883 when he created the first utility, and put him into 2021, he would still recognize the system, he'd still recognize the grid system. It's basically the same thing. Fossil fuel generation, pumping electricity along a line, someone uses it at the other end. And so, but what we see, like we saw with the mobile telephone, is there is a fundamental technology shift that's happening because of some big things that are happening in the world. First thing is renewable energy is the cheapest form of energy you can get in the world right now. So people want it. They want to stick it on their rooftops. They want to use it. They want to get some payback for it because they're essentially putting their house and making it into a power station. And the other part is, of course, we've got to hit net zero emissions by 2030 to really have a chance of dealing with climate change. And so there's all this stuff happening. It's the cheapest thing on earth for electricity. We've got to do this thing for climate change. Everyone can take part. It's pretty much a no-brainer. Like, why do we have the problems we still have? And one of the biggest problems we still have for clean energy is not the generation of clean energy, it's the integration of it into our grid, because our grid was never designed to take energy the other way, i.e. take energy from people's houses back out into the grid. It was always designed to go from fossil fuel into the house. And so that's the problem we wanted to solve at RedGrid, because we figured, oh, you know what, energy, the generation of energy is pretty much solving itself. It's cheap enough. But the problem is if we can't integrate it into a grid, there's no way you can use it. And here in Australia, where we have about 25% of the population covered with rooftop solar, they're starting to switch off your solar as you pump it into the grid, or they're starting to charge you for putting your energy into the grid because it's so unstable. And so it makes no sense. We've got all this free energy from the sun. Why can't we come up with an economic system and a technology system that enables that to work together? So that's why we created RedGrid. A RedGrid, in the simplest kind of explanation, is we use Holochain. So we're built on Holochain natively. We can go into Holochain, why that's important for us in a bit. But the key bit for RedGrid is we take signals from the grid, like how much renewable energy is in the grid, how overloaded the grid might be, and we apply that to those signals to devices in the home. So what I mean by that is smart plugs, air conditioning units, things that can respond to energy. Will include EVs and batteries, of course, and enables those different devices to respond to the grid signal and start to switch on or switch off based upon what the grid needs at that point in time. And because it's a Holochain mutual credit system, by doing that, you get credit because you're being a good actor. You're being a community actor in the, I mean by that, your devices are being community actors in the form of that electricity grid. And so what we do is do two simple things. We provide people an app that they can see, oh, cool, the grid is this green at this time. I can use my electricity now and I'm going to get points for it. And we can ledger those points and track those points over time. That's the credit system. And the second part is we create a transaction system between those different devices. So not only can they respond to the grid, they can respond to each other. So you can think of it a bit like bees in a hive. So the bees in a hive are an important analogy for us because each bee has a bit of understanding of what's going on in its environment. It can find the pollen in this place. It can remember that and knows where it is. It can then communicate that to the other bees who can then change their behavior and start finding that same kind of pollen. But if one bee dies, that whole hive doesn't go down. And so the whole point here is that we've got these devices that are like those little bees. They're all responding. They've got a bit of intelligence about what's going on, but they can communicate with each other and start to move en masse and start to make decisions en masse to try and change a situation or to save a grid or to enable people to use more electricity in some place and less in another. So that's what we do at RedGrid. It's just software that plugs into other people's hardware devices. We then help them balance and make the grid possible to integrate more renewables and therefore drive down our emissions and give people cheap, accessible, safe electricity.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this thing is live now? Is it actually available right now?
Yeah, that's right, Johnny. It is. It's live right now. So we're running our technology, Holochain technology, with one of Australia's largest universities. They have 60,000 people on campus. We're running it through our app with property developments here in Australia. So one of Australia's leading property developers invested in RedGrid a couple of years ago. So we're rolling out our technology with them. So going into real houses, real people, normal people, like not crazy climate change, got to save the world people like me. No. They're just people who just want to live their lives, get a cheaper bill, make it green as possible and get some free stuff. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, it's live, it's running. And yeah, we're super excited about these next steps. Gosh,
that is amazing. I've looked at some of your videos and you talk about blackouts in Australia. So in relation to the grid system, there's a few people are asking questions about how does it work with hospitals, for example. So if we're moving energy from one to another, do we prioritize hospitals in relation to that power?
Yeah, so the key bit about this is it's not about taking power away from people when they need it. That's 100%. That's an absolute complete like barrier for us. We must make sure people have energy when they need it. So when you think about something like a hospital, if you look at hospitals and other critical infrastructure, they actually all have huge backup generation systems because of course, if the grid goes down, you cannot have your hospital going down as well. So those are they're very special cases where you're saying, okay, no matter what, you can't switch off electricity in the hospital. That is just entirely the most important part. Same with, police stations and same with all the kind of other stuff that you have to keep going to keep society going. But the key bit is there's a whole bunch of energy that is just wasted that we can switch off if we have a bit more intelligence and a bit more understanding. I mean, intelligence in an IoT, Internet of Things kind of sense. We actually understand where the energy is being used. For example, phantom power in a house. We spend 10 to 15% of our total bill just running our TVs at night when we're asleep. Yep. And so there's stuff like that that's so easy we can just take away. And the other part is with, for example, the air conditioning, we can pick things up and down a couple of degrees, and most people don't even notice because it's just changing for half an hour here and 15 minutes there. The thing that hasn't happened before, and the reason that Holochain is important here, is these are microtransactions. These are tiny changes that we move in our energy that add up to a bigger sum. And that's important because for a long time, you always get this thing where people say, well, I don't know, why should I bother doing anything in this? Why should I switch off the lights? The people next door aren't going to do it. So why would I bother? This is kind of like, there's that tragedy of the commons thing. But with a Holochain system, you know what's going on because everyone is on the same system. And so it's like, well, actually, if I do switch off my lights and I get some credit for it, and my neighbors do it, we can all put that together and aggregate that benefit. And that's the bit that's important here. So it's definitely about people maintaining the energy they need, but it's about giving back to the grid and giving back to your community when it doesn't affect you, and then getting rewarded for that.
Gosh, that is absolutely insane. I am blown away by this technology. So in relation to getting it on my television, for example, overnight, how does that work? What sort of device do I need in order for that to work?
So right now, the easiest, cheapest way is we work with some internet-enabled smart plugs. So you can buy them here in Australia. So I'm actually English, as you can probably tell, but I've been living in Australia for the last 10 years. You can buy them here for about $9, which is about £5. So you just buy one of those, you plug it in your TV. We then connect in the back end auto magically. We get the feed from the back end of it, and then we can help you switch it off. We can either we can do it ourselves, we can do it for you, or we can give you notifications for you to do it yourself. And it would just basically switch it on, switch it off. And we take the energy reading that comes from the back of that plug. That's it. Super simple.
Nice. Okay. Right. So then that probably leads us into the what made your connection with Holochain? This is probably the question people are dying to know. Like, we do have blockchain, and then we have obviously the holy grail that is Holochain, or Holo, in relation to their agent-centric technology nodes. So I understand the fact that blockchain uses a lot of power, and you're trying to save that power. So could that be the reason why you've used Holochain, or is there another reason as well, scalability, that sort of thing?
Yeah, really fantastic question, Johnny. So when we started the company, Simon and I and Alex looked through so many different blockchains back in 2018 to figure out which blockchain could solve the problem. So we were focused on the problem. How do we get grid integration to work really well, and these microtransactions, which blockchains could work for it? And you know, Simon used to lead blockchain for one of our national banks here. Like, they really knows his stuff. And so we worked through it, and we just could not find a solution that would, at that point, deal with the problem we wanted to deal with. So we just stepped back and we kept on looking. And then through Mike Gamble, our lead engineer, and some of his contacts in the Holochain world, Adam Thompson and others, they came to us and said, hey, there's this thing called Holochain. What do you think? And Mike had been really looking at this. And when we looked at it, we were, first of all, it's hard to understand, right? It's fundamentally different technology. It's not blockchain, but it has all the kind of good stuff of blockchain without the bad. And we looked at it and we're like, okay, wait, I had this kind of gut feeling. I think this is weird and I don't really get it, but I think it might answer our questions. And so we just kept going, diving deeper and deeper, until we kind of landed and we were like, okay, I think this is the thing that makes sense for us. And there's I'll talk from a technological perspective, and I'll talk the other ways it made sense. Firstly, the whole of the grid since we've created it has been centrally controlled. It's been, and it had to be, because it's central generation to distributing through these networks. But we see a fundamentally distributed energy grid coming in the future. And what that means is, if we still rely on centralized control of the data and centralized control of the information, that's going to be a blocker in how that grid can scale and move. And then the second part is, when you look at what the grid needs to do, is technically there are moments in time and space. I don't mean that metaphysically. I mean that like in this suburb at 5 o'clock on an evening when it's really hot, they're going to use a lot of electricity, and that there's not going to be enough electricity to support that suburb. So what's going to happen is the grid, essentially what you need to happen is you need the grid and the agents in the grid, the devices, to respond and swarm around where these kind of different places are that need different things different times. And you just can't do that with blockchain, because blockchain is always referring to a central ledger. And you can't do that with centralized systems, because then they're going to be overloaded with the level of IoT devices in that grid. So the only option for us was looking at something which was agent-based, that was basically more organism-based, based on genetics, the way organisms work and fill niches in ecosystems. And I'm an ecologist by training. That was my first degree was in ecology. So that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, wait a second, Holochain is enabling an ecosystem, a genuine ecosystem of agents to start to interact with each other, to stop interacting when it doesn't suit us to interact somewhere else. But that's what we need in an energy system. So it was a fundamental component of why it's agent-based that made it real for us. And then the final one is obviously security and scalability. That, you know, one of the biggest things, obviously, you get into blockchain, there are some mesh at scale problems. You know, there's some protocols that are addressing that now, which is good. But I think fundamentally there's still a reliance on nested ledgers, and there's still a reliance on that kind of centralized system, decentralized, but ultimately a central ledger somewhere. And I think what's critical about Holochain is we start to move away from that just fundamentally in the way that the distributed hash tables work. So that's kind of the technical component. And for us then, Holochain made sense because it fundamentally reworked the way that blockchain was working and the way that technology systems are working. And what we're trying to do is fundamentally rework the way that we interact with our electricity so that we can support more renewables. And that's why we think it made so much sense for us. And then if I fast forward a bit to Arthur Brock coming out to Australia and running a bunch of workshops with Bear and others. Mike and Simon were part of them, and then Art and Bear came to Melbourne. We ran a week-long workshop here with partners from around the country and here, specifically on how do we create mutual credit systems for energy. And sitting there with Art and working with him for a week made me feel like I was sitting back with my ecologist professors, my ecologist friends back in the day. And what I loved about that is that we're talking about economics, but we're talking about it from an ecological perspective, not in just a save the world ecological perspective. I mean, in the fundamentals of ecology, the way things interact. And that is the way we see the world, and same as the way Art and Eric and the guys at Holochain see it. I think that's really important because it's fundamentally different to how we've seen it happen before. And what we start to see now is the most successful systems in the world have always been, in natural systems, have been the way that organisms have evolved, and we create amazing, beautiful ecosystems that we see on this planet. That's what we need to do for energy, and I think Holochain is the technology to enable that to happen.
That's amazing. So much in depth. I think most people will pretty much understand that. I know in the coming few days, I'll kind of explain the difference between the blockchain and the nodes, but that was a very, very in-depth explanation of basically the reason why I love Holochain. There is no other reason why. Just the sheer savor on energy, and then the fact that you're bringing Holochain to life. You are making it a physical thing, as opposed to something that's not tangible, really. And that's what makes you stand out from the rest, if I'm honest. So. Yeah, that's incredible.
That's awesome, Johnny. I mean, I can actually show you. I can actually pull up our app here, and you can see that's mutual credit points on the right hand side. So that's actually, this is running on my app. It's connected to a bunch of my devices in my home. And oh, come on, computer doesn't like it. Anyway, a bunch of devices in my home, and it's running. Like, we've got this running right now, like in our hands, and so that's what's really cool about this.
Yeah, so you can run that on a mobile phone, on a tablet. Can you view it on your PC or a laptop if you don't have a techie computer?
Yeah, so right now the easiest way, and it's whitelisted at the moment, so it's not fully unlocked on the app stores, but it's on Google Play and it's on the App Store as well. So they're the easiest ways to interact with it. We're working on an iPad version and a desktop version for the kind of network vision of what the how the assets and the agents all work together, but that's kind of coming down the line. So we have it live. It's running with people. It's definitely in beta mode still. It's not fully productized, but this is what this whole raise with IOEN and what we're doing for the next steps in RedGrid is taking us toward that full productized version to roll out around the world.
Amazing. So in relation to your current projects then, what sort of projects have you actually got with RedGrid? Not IOEN. We'll come to IOEN, but in relation to RedGrid, what current projects have you got running on there?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you an example. We've been working with a property development that's out on the outskirts of Melbourne, and we were running with customers there, basically implementing smart plugs across their homes, air conditioning, controlling, and giving them a bunch of analytics and insight onto what their energy is doing, and then providing them automated energy saving and shifting on the system, and giving them rewards for that. So they're getting rewards for groceries and other things they might want to use. Also rewards to buy more smart clean energy technology, more smart plugs and things like that. So that's one of the projects we've been running, and really doing that is, it's been a bit of a pilot project, but it's been really trying to understand how people want to interact with it and how people want to engage with it. And it's been really interesting because these aren't people who are, they're not eco-warrior people. They're not kind of, doing this because they want to save the planet entirely, but they're people who care, right? They just got a lot of things going on in their lives. Their kids are going to school. They're dealing with lockdown. They're dealing with a lot of stuff. So what was cool about this is just about, people living their lives and us being able to help them understand a bit more about electricity, because there's three things we found out during this process. People want to save money on electricity, they want it to be green, and they want to get some free stuff. That's it. And if we can help them do that and balance it, fantastic. So that's what we've been testing there. We obviously have run out and put a bunch of technology together with Monash University and rolled out their net zero initiative across their smart city campus. So helping them trying to integrate some of the assets into this system. We've got another project which is just being sort of put together right now, which will be the houses are being built right now, and there'll be people moving in late next year, and that is to put in the walls of the house, the actual plugs, the sockets in their house, to have the back of the socket with a Wi-Fi enablement, and we basically put our agent in there, or we're controlling through API at the moment. So actually there will be RedGrid technology in the walls of the house. So when you walk in, you plug in anywhere, you can have that optimization of all of those different energy devices. So it's kind of like, the idea is you walk into your house, you turn the key, and it's like, oh, it's already pre-optimized and ready to go. And it basically just updates over the air with our AI algorithms to enable them to save more money continually as they go through, but also participate in grid events. And so another project that's coming up, which is pretty interesting, is that we've just got a government grant to roll out our IOEN tech with a community and a community battery. So what this means is we've had, a lot of people have talked about Tesla Powerwalls and other batteries you can put in your house. They're really cool, fantastic. It helps you stay off the grid to a certain extent, and you can save that, but it's quite expensive, and battery technology is improving really quickly every year. So one of the key bits about this is it might actually be cheaper to stick a bigger battery at the end of your road and share it with your neighbors. And that's what's being tested right now. And so what's cool about RedGrid and IOEN tech is that we can start to put that battery in and start to make it work with the houses, and then to optimize this micro level and share it all on a mutual credit system. So they're three of the projects that we've got running at the moment.
I've got I'll bring the screen up for the website. So viewers will be able to see it. It's ioen.tech, and this is their website, which is extremely advanced. The fact that the world spins around in the background, and it tells you everything in relation to the currency paper, the unlocks mini grids, device agnostic, agent centric information, and of course IOEN, the Internet of Energy Network, is what it stands for, and it's all there to see, and everybody that's behind the project, as it were. Including quite a lot of investors and partners, which is really, really good to see, which again makes everything feel real, and everything that's happening with Holochain is serious. Like, you are so serious about this being uberly successful across the world, aren't you?
I love that. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Johnny. Like, we are super serious to make it uberly successful. That's exactly what we want to happen. And you're absolutely right. It's really funny because, you know, in crypto, there's a lot of, obviously, like, there's so much stuff that's happening. It's moving so fast. It's really hard to tell what's actually going on and what's not. And one of the things for us is that we were going to launch IOEN 3 years ago. And we just decided to step back and not launch it then, but raise money, just like a normal startup, just raise equity investment and just go and do the work, just create the products, do the work, sign contracts, do that kind of stuff at RedGrid as a normal, you know, for-profit startup. That's what we wanted to do, just build on Holochain, because we wanted to prove that we could actually go and do the thing that we said we were going to do. And so fast forward to 2021, and we kind of got to this stage and talking to our advisors, and we're like, I think we're kind of ready to go and do this now, because it's real. And just as you said, it's not a pie in the sky idea anymore. It's like, no, this is real. We can actually do this, and we prove we can do it. We just need to take it to the next level. And that's why we created IOEN. And funny enough, we when we raised our crowd equity in 2019, we put this in the paper. We put this in the thing. We're going to open an Internet of Energy Foundation, we called it then, to raise money in crypto, and we're going to do this. And everyone's like, oh, okay, cool, nice, good stuff. We fast forward 2 years, like, you know, thing we're going to do, we're actually doing it now. They're like, oh, okay, cool, this is real. I'm like, yeah. So and then what's exciting there is, look, we've got some really big partners that we're just about to announce, so that's pretty exciting. So, you know, we want the community to keep an eye out on that. I think they're gonna be pretty pumped about it. But the key thing for us is bringing those partners in is a sign of what we're doing is heading on the right track. You know, partners like for IOEN, like Mashable, so big media agencies with a lot of people who are kind of the new generation, people who will be living in this energy world for the next kind of generations. They're the ones reading Mashable, and they're the ones who they just get it. They get that there's tech and there's sustainability and there's society, and it's all kind of one thing. And so really excited about those partnerships. And then for I think the other thing is, right, it's got to get global. It can't just stay in small places. We've got to go to the global level. And this is something that we feel really passionate about, is that we've got to, one thing that's amazing about crypto and DeFi and how this is all working is that it puts people on much more of a level playing field, that you can be part of this. It's about inclusion, it's about equity, it's about access. And it's not about just waiting on the big energy companies to make those changes. Now, big energy companies are starting to make those changes. That's fantastic. But we've got to meet them from the grassroots upwards as well. Because if we can't meet them from the grassroots upwards, we may end up with the same situation we've had before, which is just large organizations basically dictating exactly who gets access and who doesn't. So that's the key bit that we've got to work through. So I think that what's most important here is that we're really excited about getting out to the world. I think IOEN as a token raise is the bit that enables that to happen, because people can take part, right? They can buy into it, they can purchase tokens, and they can be ready to pre-purchase this in the future. So I'm excited about it.
So the ION token, I was going to try and leave that to the end, but you've kind of like said it now, so we can't not ignore this. let's just move on from the RedGrid thing, because I think people understand that now, and we get that business. Just before we move on, when is this going to leave Australia and become? Because I want it. Like I just want it. Is that something that I can get?
Yeah, so absolutely, Johnny. So the token, obviously, anyone, you got to go through KYC, and it's got to go be on the right exchanges. But it's open. It will open when we do our TGE. And so you can have access to that. In terms of access to the actual RedGrid technology, that is coming down the line, because so the official name of RedGrid here is RedGrid 1.
Yes.
We want RedGrid 2, RedGrid 3, RedGrid 4 around the world, who's not us, but we can license our technology to the other organizations, other people who want to implement this technology, because it's not like Simon, Alex, and I can run around the world doing it everywhere. We want other people to take it and run with it. So it's definitely on the roadmap to expand internationally, and that's what the token raise is going to really help with as well. So I don't know exactly when it's going to arrive in the UK, but we have one of our advisors in the UK. We've got strong connections there. We'll be very keen to push it out there. Our key next new markets are Southeast Asia, West Coast US, East Coast US, and Texas, and Europe and the UK. So that's kind of where we're looking next. So yeah, absolutely watch the space, and super happy to discuss that in the future.
So yeah, obviously we've broken the news about the IOEN token. Let's go into that, shall we? What's where can we buy this token? When is it going to be released? Any ideas as an investor? You know, what the future is of this token, because we are massive investors of HOT. And I mean, I've got ridiculous amounts of money in HOT, and then to have something alongside which could potentially be the IOEN token has literally got me so ridiculously excited. When I heard about this with the emails that have been coming from Sunny Setter between us and yourself, I was like, what? Like, seriously? Please tell me.
That's awesome. Yeah, sure, Johnny. So, right, cool. So the first thing is we are closing up the private round right now. So we've got some fantastic investors on board, and we're ready to launch in a few weeks' time. So we're in those final stages, just confirming exactly the date. So the best thing is join our Telegram group at IOEN. Be involved in that. You'll get all the news through there as well. You can sign up on the website to just go to ioen.tech, and you'll be able to join those things. So that gives us all the information as we're happening real time. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Medium. We're putting out articles on Medium. We've got as I mentioned before, we've got some really cool partners coming down the line. So we're going to announce them as we go through, because you don't want to tell everyone all the partners straight away. But we're really excited about it. I think you guys will be pretty happy about some of those partners. We're pretty excited too. So join up the Telegram group, join us online, follow that, and that we'll be giving you all the up-to-date information on when the token's coming out. We've got a few launch pads ready, we've got a few exchanges ready. So yeah, good. So needless to say, it will be accessible. People will be able to purchase it. That's absolutely fine. And the token is it's fantastic. It's a really clear utility token. It's a pre-purchase of future energy and future energy use value, which is what we do with our credit system right now. And essentially it's an ERC20 token that's an IOEN token that stakes your position in IOEN and enables you to then use that as a credit in the mutual credit system in your energy grids in the future. What this means is, essentially what you do is you're pre-purchasing, much like people bought HOT for holofuel, pre-purchasing that energy token, that energy credit for the future, but it also gives you certain governance rights in what IOEN's going to do. Now, IOEN right now is an organization with human beings. We're 100% human, but we're obviously moving towards a distributed autonomous organization over time. But right now, IOEN is a not-for-profit entity. Its business is to get more people in the network and working on the token. And the token has a few key utility values. The first one is you can use it to purchase electricity services within your grid as the IOEN grids start to roll out. The second one is it gives you a staking mechanism in the governance of those grids. And the third one is we're actually setting up on the IOEN token system the ability for other developers to write services, to write apps that other people can download and use for themselves in energy. So for example, someone in Canada might write an app that talks about, hey, this is how you can interact with your community battery even better. People with the community battery say, oh, that's cool. I would like that to get a bit more savings or do something with my energy. I'm going to subscribe to the app using my IOEN credits. And so what's cool about this is the token is the mechanism to drive the bootstrapping of the network. And what that means is we have hardware that's going to go out there. We don't make the hardware. We just certify other people's third-party hardware, and then they can use it. So wherever you are in the world, the local hardware can be used in this. We just have to work with those providers and help certify it. It's totally fine. And then we can provide API calls into it or put the software into the device. But the cool bit about this is the token is the bit that drives it. And so the token is the bit that enables people to take the utility of the network and pull it together. And the token is what keeps the network running, keeps it afloat. And so that's why people have been excited about this, because it's not, I mean, we've been in, you've been in crypto a long time and we've seen what's happened. How often in crypto do you get some organization has gone and actually built and launched a product and then launched the token? It's normally the other way around, right? They're always launching a token, then launching a product. We've actually gone the other way and said, right, let's build the product, let's get that out there, and now we'll launch a token to supercharge it and get it out there to the world. And something like this in crypto and energy has never been done before. So we're very excited for people to be part of it with us. We've always had this philosophy that it's a community approach. We've always gone back to that. Whenever we had a junction in the road about where we need to go as an organization, we've gone, it's about people being with us on the journey. And if we can create that, we can go really far.
So there is like so many excited members on the live chat right now. The live chat is going absolutely crazy. So the best thing, like what Adam said, the best thing to do is go on the Telegram and you'll get all the information that you need there. Bang up to date information. And, you know, people are saying, love it. Let's get in first from Steve. There is just so many people getting mega excited about the whole situation. So that's great. I mean, I want to try and leave that to the last bit to try and keep people on, but no, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I mean, this is the thing. It's sort of, yeah. Look, one of these things is it's really the token is just part of how we drive the incorporate the kind of inclusion of people into it. That's the bit. The token is the bit that drives how people can be part of it at a global level.
Yeah.
And that's really important because it sort of sets the scene. But yeah, it sets the scene for how we can roll it out and how other organizations come in. So we're just really excited to build this, and that's what our partners have been really excited about as well. It's just like, how do you cool, you guys are doing something that's really, really different in energy. How do we help you? And that's most of our investors have come on saying, yeah, cool, here's a bit of money, but what can we do? Who can we put you in touch with? How can we help build it? And that's really exciting.
Gosh. Yeah. No way. I had a question that came in from our digital analyst expert, Big Black Crypto, and he asked, can you explain the work you have done with Monash University in relation to the Link project? Is that something that we can discuss?
In relation to the which project?
The Link project. Does that ring a bell?
Link, yeah, okay. So Link was, yeah, it does. So when we were working with Monash, we were just working through with them. We called it Link as ledger integrated node communication, I think it was.
Right.
And that was just the kind of working title of what we were kind of building at at Monash. So what we were doing is we were just helping develop software for them to integrate their different assets together. So that was part of that Link project, and it was really cool because, you know, Monash is trying to, you know, really create a new system and enable a net zero mini grid. They've got lots of different assets on the university campus, and what we were doing is we were just trying to help them create a system by which those assets could ledger what those assets have done for each other, and put that into simple smart contracting that enables those assets to respond to a market signal and then push that market signal back out. So that's how we did it there, and it was really yeah, it was great. Like, it was a really cool project to work on with those guys. They're very smart. They're doing some really interesting things. And the key bit here is they're really interested in really innovating around what kind of technology we could use. It wasn't just off the shelf stuff. So we basically made them a bespoke kind of system that enabled them to do what they wanted to do. So yeah, it's a really great project they're doing there. Definitely worth looking out. We've changed, I think the name has changed a bit. I'm not sure exactly where it's at right now, but it's yeah, there's going to be more information coming out on that project as we go through and write some more case studies on it.
Yeah, I think we've uncovered a lot of information with you, Adam. This is I'm just, my brain has just exploded. If I'm honest, I don't even know what to say to you anymore. I'm just like, wow, you know, covered everything, like ridiculous.
Well,
like
yeah, no, look, it's great, Johnny. Like, so, like what you're doing here is really important, right? Because we're talking about real technology. Like, you're really into Holochain. The community's really into Holochain. We're into Holochain, and the reason we're into it is that it's not just another project. That's the thing that's really cool about this, is that, you know, that Holochain's trying to build something that's fundamentally different, and that's what we need, right? That's where the true innovation lives, and that's why it's hard, and that's why, you know, it's tough stuff. You got to spend time working on it. You got to spend time really getting into the weeds and trying to figure it out. And that's where the gold is, right? That's where the real kind of benefits are. So I think it's awesome what you're doing with the community, and having people who are just passionate about seeing stuff built for the world that's really good.
Yes.
not just tearing things apart or having negativity. It's like, it's good stuff, man. Like that's what we're so excited about.
I mean, I started this with a laptop on my bed talking about charts for holo charts. That's how it started. And it has evolved into me having a one-to-one discussion with Dr. Adam Bumpus on RedGrid, from RedGrid. I'm like, what? Like, seriously? What is going on?
It's the pleasure is all mine, Johnny. This is absolutely brilliant. It's really great. It's just fantastic to see that what you're doing and pulling this community together and helping foster it. It's massive, massive.
Yeah, well, the community is growing ever strong, and you find these little pockets of people that they follow Holochain very, very intensively. And I thought, you know, where is all these Holochain people? And there's so many on Telegram, people inviting me, and they've got 5,000 members, another 1,000 members. So the whole community itself is huge, and the backing for you is out of this world. And I mean, seriously, as soon as we managed to secure an interview with you, my phone has been red hot. And I mean, like, celebrity status red hot. It has never stopped. It's just like, it's huge. It's so
That's
huge.
Awesome, Johnny. Yeah, that's it. You know, that's the thing, and people want to see it happen. They want to see us. They want to see this stuff that can emerge from it, and that's what's cool. Like, you're helping a community emerge and take part, and we're trying to build a technology that helps other people emerge and take part. And that's inclusivity, equity, and sustainability. That's where this whole thing sits, and that is, I think, that taps into people's core of what they want for their kids, what they want for their families, what they want for society. A whole equity, inclusion, sustainability. That's the key bit for this whole thing.
So RedGrid, then let's talk about if we look at a third world country, for example. You've really got me thinking now. How can we help a third world country with RedGrid in relation to supplying them with the power? You know, is that something that everyone can get involved with putting money towards solar panels and the technology and helping them to move on from a third world to a second world? How would that work with RedGrid?
Yeah, awesome question. So the first project we ever did at RedGrid, before we even incorporated the company, I was part of an accelerator thing with my previous work, and I met some guys who were running a mini grid system in Bangladesh, and they were doing fantastic work. There's a company called SoulShare in Bangladesh, and they're basically just helping people get more electricity so they can have lights on at night, and they can help their kids study, and they can open little shops and things like that. And they're building these little mini grids. And I was part of this accelerator program as a researcher. I was like, I met these guys, like, oh, this is amazing what you guys are doing. And they started forming a relationship with a German utility. And the idea was they wanted to try and donate money from Germany, from someone with excess solar power in Germany, to this grid in Bangladesh. They didn't have a way to do it directly, but they wanted to do it on the blockchain. And we'd just been working through some of the stuff at RedGrid. And so Simon and I were like, put our hands up, like, we can help you. Like, we'll just help you do it. Like, and they said, well, we can't pay you. Like, you don't have to pay us. We're just going to do it. Like, let's just work on it together. So we formed then a collaboration with them, a few other organizations, over five different countries. We put together, Simon wrote the protocol and basically enabled someone in Germany to donate some of their energy value, not kilowatts, not the actual electricity, because they couldn't get that from Germany to Bangladesh, but they can donate the value. So just a dollar value, and it went through, we're using our protocol to get through to a specific person in Bangladesh. So the key bit about this, it was a specific person in Germany donating to a specific person in Bangladesh. And essentially that money then went in, topped up their energy, and enabled that person to have more energy. And so what's really cool about that is we on that proof of concept, we showed that we can create virtual energy communities around the world. And that's where the Internet of Energy concept really came from. Like, we have the Internet of Information where we can each share information completely easily with anyone in the world. Now we can start to share energy value with anyone in the world. And that's just a dollar value or some other financial value. But the point is, it comes from the fact you've generated so much clean energy that you don't worry about selling that value somewhere else. That's really important. So that's the first way we did it. And so that really set the scene for us. We've worked with SoulShare a lot. You know, they're a fantastic organization doing great work in Bangladesh. They actually won that accelerator that year, which is really, really cool. And so fast forward to here today, and what we're building, and what I think is really important for the developing world, is that what we saw in mobile telephones is that the mobile telephone was the fastest growing technology in the history of humankind. Like, without a shadow, it just is, statistically, it's the fastest growing technology, and it's fastest growing in developing countries because it provides so many benefits. Because, for example, before, there would be someone who's a farmer, farms their crops, a middleman comes, they buy the crops at a cheap price, the middleman goes to the town, sells the crops at a high price, the farmer loses out. But with a telephone, now the farmer can phone through to the market and say, hey, what's the price of this crop right now? They get the price, they go, cool, that's the price I'm going to sell it to you, minus a small margin. And so suddenly it was disintermediating, it was taking away those middlemen, so that then people could get the true value of their labor. And so we see this as really important in developing countries, is that this distributed, decentralized energy system is actually going to leapfrog a whole bunch of the problems we've had with our old grid systems that we've got in developed countries. And so if you look at places like Rwanda with a GDP of 14%, you know, amazing growth there, huge innovation. 1 in 3 people on the planet will be African by the end of this century. So there is this amazing, amazing opportunity for innovation and to connect people and to leapfrog a bunch of the emissions problems we've seen because of our dirty energy in developed countries by getting energy technology like ours, that's lightweight, that's simple to implement, that is based upon local technologies with our software. We're really excited about that. To be honest, I think that is the big opportunity for the future.
Definitely.
Purely because it's the cheapest energy on the planet. And it doesn't run out, like solar panels, you know, solar energy. So like, all we need to do is help integrate it, put it together. And so we're very excited about where that can go. And we've got a lot of partners in the Middle East who are supporting the project, who we obviously see in the Middle East is really, really important as a gateway into the rest of the world, into African subcontinent and other places where we can hopefully help our technology be in the hands of people so it can help them do what they want to do with it. Like, not for us to dictate it, but for them to take it and mold it and shape it and use it how they want to.
Honestly, I love stuff like this. I love anything that's going to help the third world countries, because especially for something that's so cheap and so easy to do, and we just take things by granted, and to be able to put this again, RedGrid, Holochain, ION, all collectively comes together, and then the community to make it bigger and better, to help people in very deprived areas, desperately deprived areas, to give them something like a light bulb is just, it's just incredible. Seriously, that is bigger than me having a switch at home. I'm not really bothered about it. If we can help these people to develop, then my gosh, this is amazing. This is so cool.
And that's it. And it's really the cool thing about this is that once we've set up the system and you're getting credit in the system, you can choose what you do with that. You can stake it, and you can send those credits over to someone else. You can specify who it might want to go to. They can become part of your virtual energy community, and that's what happens. That's we can push it through on the app. And the key bit here is that it's actually it's not about charity, and it's not about like just the old model of, hey, like giving and just letting, giving people stuff and just, hey, take my technology and pushing it. It's actually saying, hey, we're forming a community here, and we've got this thing here, you might need that, and you got that thing there, I might need this. And it's incredible. There'll be a whole bunch of developers that come out of developing nations who've written some of the best apps we can probably see on the Internet of Energy protocol, and people in developed countries will be buying it. And that's what I want to see. I want to see people in the UK and Australia and the US going, wow, I love this app that someone has written from a country I've never heard of, but I love it, I'm buying it, and that person is getting rewarded for it. And that's what we're really excited about. It's a much bigger community building exercise that's going to hopefully level the playing field. That's our goal.
So this token, the token itself, the ION token, obviously is not going to be on it's not ready, is it, with Holochain? So I'm guessing it's going to be as an ERC20 to start with. Will that change eventually?
Yeah, so it starts as an ERC20, but an ERC20 will always remain. That's a staking token at the meta level. But when you want to convert them into Holochain mutual credit, you can extract your ERC20 from the stake in the IOEN level down into IOEC, which is the Internet of Energy currency. And so that essentially is just a mini grid by mini grid bespoke system that can emerge. And what that means is that the economics can be defined locally. The smart contract can be defined locally to make it work for that local mini grid environment. Because of course, all our environments are very different. So the idea here is that actually you're just staking your position in ION right now. And then as the mini grids emerge and as they get rolled out, those mutual credit systems filter out of ION into those local systems. And that becomes the trading currency that people use. So yeah, it's just the ERC20 for now. And then as the mini grids emerge, they'll be pushed to move. The mini grids will be able to use the IOEC to then transact within it.
Yeah, I think we're used to that with hot and Holo fuel anyway. So it's nothing different to us. We know the score. We're pretty switched on with that.
That's it. That's it.
Right, I think I have exhausted all of my questions, if I'm honest. Do we open up the room and see if there's any questions or burning questions? What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
So mobile phone is red hot. Is message from Sparky on Telegram. I send a link to the RedGrid website to our register. So I'll come back to that one in a moment, but we'll just have a look to see if there's any questions actually in the live chat that we can answer. But Brenton Eslick is he's Australian. The thing, right? Brenton, right? There's a story about Brenton. I do my live stream at 8 o'clock and then till about 10, and he always comes on after and has to watch the live show again. So to have Brenton with us live is amazing. And he said here, Middle East can harvest lots of solar energy, which is absolutely true, really, isn't it? So we can help them to them helping us, etc. Yeah. Brenton has asked, question for RedGrid: if they plan to shut down appliances to save power, how can they predict which appliances aren't being used for a person that might have health conditions in a commercial residence? I think that's quite a good question, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really important here is just when you sign up to, so if you're in Australia, you'll know this, when you sign up and move house and you get electricity, it says, are there any life support devices within this house that rely on electricity, because you get a special category under your network provider. So what we would have here is we absolutely do not advocate that there's any way, shape or form place a smart plug on something which is a life support machine in anyone's house at any point in time ever. The whole point is that's got to stay on the entire time, much like the question about the hospital. So we give very clear instructions on those things. We don't have any technology you can actually plug into a life support machine. So that's the really important bit there. The key bit for us is to know when people are switching things on and off, or where we should switch things on and off. We just, first of all, the plugs go in and we monitor it over time. So, and these are things like people's heaters, fans, televisions, bar fridges, it can be air conditioning, pool pumps, that kind of stuff. And so all of it is called discretionary load. It's load that can go on or off, and doesn't have an impact on the user. And the key bit is we monitor that over time. We can plug in the algorithms to understand when, or usually when it's working, when it's not. And the key bit is, for all of this, it can all be overridden by the person at any point in time.
Right.
So there are some utilities where we should do a hard override of your air conditioning. We don't do that.
Yeah.
It's just that's because so the ones that do a hard override on the air conditioning from utilities in either commercial buildings or in residential is because they absolutely 100% need that energy at that point in time. Whereas what we do, and that happens a few times a year, what we do is we do a persistent demand management, which means you're just saving energy through smart algorithms rather than just waiting for those times where it's an emergency. So the idea here is that one doesn't even notice when it's turning on and off. And yeah, absolutely 100% not into we would not put this on anything that's associated with life support or commercial or industrial processes that have to happen.
Yep.
That's the given.
That's
rest
fine.
of it, though, there's lots of good stuff we can do there.
Absolutely. Yes. Steve has said, as a heating engineer, this is really amazing. So, yeah, a heating engineer is listening to you and getting extremely excited about what you've said. So, message from Joyce. Too many solar panels also pose a challenge to network overload. Is that perhaps something that IOEN can contribute to?
Wonderful question. You're absolutely right. Too many solar panels at certain points in the day in certain locations mean there's too much energy flowing into the grid, and that has a problem with frequency of the voltage of the grid. So what do you need to do to deal with that? A couple of things you can do. You can switch off the solar panel or switch off the inverters, and so it stops the energy going into the grid, which is a real shame because people have invested in solar panels and it's free energy. Or you can soak it up somewhere else by switching things on. So with IOEN and our intelligence across the system, we can start to switch things on to soak up that energy. What that means is other people can get a benefit from your solar panels and you don't get charged for it. So that's really important. The key bit right now is that I have no idea what's going in my neighbor's house for energy, and I don't know, they have no idea about mine, we have no idea about the whole system. We don't have to know the specifics of what's going on in someone's house. All the system does is say, hey, these people would like some energy, you've got some free energy, otherwise you're going to get charged. Let's transact that and label that to happen and balance it out in the grid. And so as soon as that happens, we can start to take those extra panels, the extra energy that's coming from the solar panels, start to balance it out and enable that grid, therefore, to integrate more clean energy. And we're even working through some use cases right now, which we've got running. It's a test case right now that's called our solar mine. So what this means is we have essentially a solar signal plugged into a mining rig to mine cryptocurrencies, plugged into this cryptocurrency price signal and the grid signal of how clean the grid is at any point in time. And so what it does is automatically toggles on your mining rig when it's 100% clean, when it's the highest price in the currency, so you can mine effectively. And essentially through IOEN, we can connect all of these rigs on the grid and create a virtual mining rig. And that's really cool, because what it means is all the energy that, like this whole idea, Bitcoin is worth the whole energy of Ireland or something like that. We can start to do this. And actually that problem that you just noticed there, Joyce, is that, too much energy going to the grid. Why don't we use that energy to then mine more cryptocurrency so that more people can be involved in it?
Yeah.
So Solar Mine is a product we have in process right now. That's part of our roadmap to release. So we're very excited about what Solar Mine can do.
Oh my gosh. Being a crypto miner myself, this is exciting as well. I love mining crypto. Message from
and we can do something really cool with this. And it's like you can start to form a network of mines that are going to save the grid. I mean, like, how awesome is that? 100% clean, all mines. Like, what's not to love about that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It really is fantastic. Question from actually Steve says, I hope you take this global ASAP. I'm sure you will. In good time, it will be global before we know it.
Join the Telegram group, and then we'll be able to let you know when it's happening.
I'm excited about the Telegram group, definitely. It's going to go up massively after tonight, I'm sure it is. Have you thought about setting this up?
Sure it is.
Have you thought about setting this up in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools? Get kids excited about this technology, earn stuff for schools, maybe? That's from Sunny Setter.
Yeah, fantastic, brilliant. And the answer is absolutely we have. Yes, the first hackathon that the RedGrid team and I, before we even RedGrid won, was we won a hackathon with the University of Melbourne, one of our retailers here. And it was with a schools program to help school kids use augmented reality to find energy efficiency and then ledger that in the system and then get points for it. So that was our first hackathon win that we ever had, first hackathon we ever went to. And we're now in discussion with a number of schools in Australia around enabling our system to connect the school with the community around it. So schools have really lots of roof space, they've got lots of solar power, but of course, the weekend, no one's in the schools, it's not being used. So we're working with some partners to work out how we can help that solar then filter into the system around it to those other community members nearby. And we see schools as a really important part, not only for the technology rollout, but as you said, for students to play with this. Now, Holochain is super nice and malleable. We want to bring people in to experiment and play and program and just hack and pull things and put it together on top and just have fun with it. And that's yeah, we're really excited about that. So stay tuned. There'll be some really fun partnership announcements coming out on that stuff over the next probably the next couple of months. But yeah, really excited about that one.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Marty has asked a question saying, can you see local councils adopting this and not just focusing on the home user?
Yeah, 100%. So a project we're just about to sign right now is with one of the local councils here, and with a number of different partners rolling out feasibility studies on these community batteries. So yeah, absolutely, councils are really taking this seriously. A lot of the councils here have net zero emissions targets, but they need help with technology to put it in, and that's what we can help with. There's also a number of councils like Zero Emissions Noosa, which is up in in the Queensland in Australia, and a number of others who just want to do something. So yeah, we're really keen to work with the councils and help them do this. There's a lot of work happening there. Absolutely.
Russell Zuma sent a message saying, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, iron.
That's a great meme. That's a great
That
meme.
is a great meme. We need to make that viral. We're going to make that viral, definitely.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, brilliant. I think that's probably it for the questions. And we have taken up a good hour of your time. Seriously, I cannot thank you enough for this. This is just so insightful, and it's my kind of vision for the HoloTube is to bring Holochain to life. And we've done some interviews before, but this one, I can feel it. Like, I can feel the tangibility. I can feel it working. And the facts that you're offering this unlimited scalability with Holochain and the work that Holochain are doing is going to cause your business to explode. We have, it's, what time is it? It's 2:30 in the Netherlands, and there's people in the Netherlands watching you live, which is incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you guys. And thanks, Johnny, for having me here. Thank you everyone for staying up so late. I really appreciate it. It's been Johnny and Cindy and I have been working through trying to find a time slot because things are kind of nuts at everyone's end. So thank you so much. Thanks, Johnny, for staying up late, and everyone else for joining. I really appreciate it. And now you can see the background's dropped off. You can see there's a bit of sunshine here.
Yes.
So it's daytime in Australia. So we got a full day of stuff ahead now. And yeah, thank you all guys. I really appreciate the time, and thanks for all the support. We're genuinely grateful, and we're excited to see where we can take it with you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.